For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. It is welcoming you to Sharks Country, where we only talk about all things NRL that relates to the Sharks. Whether we win, whether we lose, draw or forfeit, we will be here doing something relating to the Sharks. This is ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast that lets us talking to the football. We're live on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, and available on audio on delay in all the usual places, as my dear Stephen would say. If you are on Instagram, though, I suggest switching over to YouTube because it's a better experiences. Now, if you want to boo anything, then please do so in the comments. Get involved and say hello to us. Matthew has a challenge for us. Matthew can't watch the match this week live. And so we're trying to work out in the comments, should he just turn it off and not watch it all? Is that the problem you're facing, Matty? Or what's the problem we're dealing with here?
That's correct. As my internet proves itself, due to work and family commitments, 6 p.m. is the worst on a Friday. Is the worst time ever. So I'm thinking I might have to have a bit of a media blackout and see how I go post game. But in the current climate, it is tempting just to check the score.
Do you media blackout and try and watch it later, or do you just check the score? That's the question. Lats, what do you do?
Straight into the debrief without watching it. Go through all the emotions with the fans, with the listeners.
All right. Well, do get your Franko. What would you do? Do you go media blackout or watch it later? What do you do?
I've very rarely had the opportunity to miss it, given I'm seen to be carrying the debrief for the last year and a half. But if I do miss the game, total blackout, watch it as if it was live.
All right. Get your comments in. Do you black out and try and watch it without getting your phone going, or do you just try and look at it? I actually worked out when I was living overseas, I could tell by the number of text messages I got just whether the Sharks had won or not if I tried the blackout. It's very difficult. But anyway, we want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let us know what you think. And if you want to interrupt the show and make us chat about anything at any time, you can do so using the super chat option. With any proceeds of that are going to go to helping us find Chris Kelly. I had a whole bit on introducing all of the lads, but we've already talked to them. So let's just quickly introduce any comments that we've got through here. Oh, they're all their own comments. So if you want to get involved in the Sharks chat with us, do so on the Discord link. And then Ryan is coming back saying, at least Matty won't have to watch us butcher field goals. We're going to get Matty's response on that. And then Harley in the comments appropriately points out with KL Iro is back. And new name KL, which is why we've all got our initials up there as well. All right, let's get into it. Matty, let's close the book on the talking points from the weekend's match. This quick post-match review is brought to you by Solve Accounting for all of your accounting needs. That's because Franko forgot to mention Solve Accounting on the debrief because we just had too much stuff to talk about on Sunday. So sorry, guys. Sorry, Solve. We love you, but they don't want to be associated with losers anyway. So let's get it. And Matty, I'm going to put you on the big screen. Here we go. Ready? There we go. Matty on the big screen. You ready? Matty Williams. Ready. All right, let's close the book on this Tigers match, mate. So the Sharks lose 2018 in a golden point match that sees the Sharks fans scratching their head. With Franko and Lats needing 2 hours to debrief what they saw. Decision-making in sports. Decision-making in sports. Under pressure is one of the key attributes of elite-level champions. Tom Brady in the NFL, they talk about it all the time. He's just better in the fourth quarter. Novak Djokovic gets better in a tiebreak. The Sharks, well, they just seem to go to pieces at the end of the matches. It's such an important skill. Matty, are we just missing that skill, or am I being tough on the lads?
It seems like we are. Like, it's straight away watching it on Sunday afternoon. It seemed like we'd all seen that movie before. We remember the Bulldogs game last year where we butchered it really there. And the same errors again too. We remember the Roosters semi-final or quarter-final back 2 years ago in 2023 Shark Park. So yeah, it seemed like the same thing happening. It seemed like the same kind of clutch moments not coming to the fore. Dan Atkinson was, I suppose, praised for his clutch performances last year. That's not the reason he's carried on the bench and he was playing the centres the other day. But just things like even just big plays like Ronnie losing possession at a really key moment, trying to force the ball when it was still several metres short of the line. I'm picking on you, Ronnie, again, like that horror challenge when there was, gosh, I know you're playing the rules that the NRL set this up with the inconsequential face contact, head contact, whatever. I've digressed here, but they're big moments prior as my internet goes. But yeah, the field goals, you can see it just each set wasn't set up the way it needed to be, and it was frustrating.
Well, you mentioned the field goals. Cronk called it out on the Maddie and Cronk show on KO, which I actually found to be pretty good. Just that composure with the 10 minutes to go. And he just simply laid it out for teams. With 10 minutes to go, you're obviously trying to score, but if you get towards the last tackle, then you're obviously trying to pot the field goal. And he called it out so obviously. Get the best play the ball player getting tackled before you're going to kick it. So it was Slater for Storm, Cordner for the Roosters. So surely for us, it's got to be Cam McInnes. We just don't seem to have a plan in these structures. We just look like a rabble and a mess. So, and then there was also the one where they threw it to Hines, and then they went back to the left side of Trindle. Like, I just don't understand scenario-based training. You must do this in the military. Or are we just a dumb team, Matty?
I think that one, you saw Luai do similar afterwards, and it since came out that, who was it? Twal or whoever it was, Taylor May was not square at marker. And then I think probably one of our players was the same when Luai had to do it. So you get guys shooting from marker that get to that first guy, even if they're 10, 15 metres behind the ruck. But you're right, it's taking that shot on the second or third tackle when we're in just as good a position, if not better position, than we were when AFB, who Brayley gave the ball to him at that point in time, took a hit up and took us within 10 metres of the try line. So, I mean, there was that kick that Sam Walker did against us a few years ago. We're talking about him getting high trajectory on his field goal. So practicing those, I don't know. Like, and even those field goals we've kicked over the last few years, like Trindle against Souths, it was the same pressure. You can't replicate that in training, but surely you can come close. And it seemed to be that we, again, lost our heads a little bit.
Chris Kelly in the comments, we've been in this position so many times as a team and still haven't learned. It's just frustrating. Look at that avatar on Chris Kelly's picture there too. And then Ryan, I don't think our field goals were actually the issues. It was the lack of field goal attempts in the last 10 minutes of regular time. Well, they just stopped trying, didn't they? Franco, you're chiming in there?
No, mate, just a funny comment there from Ryan. It's right that we've seen the guys kick goals. We know they can kick goals. The lack of an attempt was certainly frustrating, and more so than seeing them miss, really. It was pretty obvious by all and sundry that there was the right time to take a shot, and we just didn't. We just kept our powder dry and kept either moving aside or going for the try. And it wasn't even a scenario where we'd push for a repeat set. So, it just sort of led to nothing. Yeah, very frustrating.
All right, missing players. Iro injured. Katoa missing in the Stone Street combination with Ramian was questioned on the debrief. Atkinson on the bench and then into the centres. AFB, too many minutes. Talakai, 20 minutes each week is one of our key guys. Matty, the balance of this team. We just got this wrong as well.
I think it's hard given the circumstances, but it seems that way. I mean, the injuries, the illness, the disruption, I think overall it seems like we're getting the term out enthused, out muscled. There's been banned around a lot. I think we're lacking the physicality, and obviously those disruptions the back line. Already getting injured on the weekends. Good that Iro's back, but I think it is hard, and that's why I know Fitz, as we see, Control C, Control V, regularly sticks to his guns because of those combinations. But it is hard if those combinations keep changing. You want to minimise the impact on the rest of the team, but it's hard not to at the moment, and that's not helping.
All right, comment through from Ashley Williams, and we'll get Lats to respond to this one. Can we stop challenging stupid captain's challenges? We are going to lose. We did it when Graham was captain, and we still haven't learned since it was to be spoken about. Lats, we just dumb on the captain's challenges as well.
Yeah, no, actually, we can't stop making stupid captain's challenges by the look of it. We don't learn. We sometimes get lucky, but rarely. And no, I can't see it changing anytime soon.
All right, fair enough. Yep, we're just not good at it. So we're just a dumb team. We're just a dumb team, aren't we, God? All right, okay, let's get Williams back over here. The halves, Matty, give us a commentary on the halves.
Well, I was thinking I was going to blame it on the forward pack because I thought, well, they weren't doing too well on the weekend. In the first half, they certainly weren't, but we were making 48 metres per set average versus the Tigers 40. A lot of the social media chat was our lack of go forward. The stats say otherwise. And we had similar set distance to the Tigers as well. Some of that may have been, I suppose, brought up by Kennedy and his awesome runs out of the back. So it may be hard to judge. But I was going to say it's hard when you're not getting the go forward. We're not really getting the quick play the balls. We'd like our play the ball speed was much slower than the Tigers by a good, I don't know, 2 to 3 tenths of a second kind of thing. That's the classic forwards excuse. So they're not in a rhythm at the moment. One or both maybe carrying injuries, hence the Atkinson thing, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, not performing. And Trindle's been very quiet lately. It would have been great. Hines was taking the line against the Knights. I thought Hines had a few good touches the other day. It would have been awesome if he kicked that field goal. That would have been just awesome for everyone, himself first and foremost. But yeah, they're quiet at the moment. And I don't think Brayley had a particularly good game the other day either.
Yeah, it would have been a different narrative if Nico kicks that field goal. Tigers still in a mess. Nico Hines is back and all that, Malaga. Last question before we shut out on the Tigers match. Matthew, still believe Sharks third finals tilt we're on?
It's been huge doubt now. And that's, I think, hence the hysteria. I know you were talking about the episode going for 2 hours the other day. I think it's a case of a lot of us are processing the fact that this team is not where we thought they'd be. They continue, sure, injuries, illness, whatever, we can cop that. But it's the same errors over and over. That's what's so frustrating. You see Kelly's comments there. You see Ryan's comments. You see Ash Williams in there. Just frustration about the same, just horror mistakes when it comes to captain's challenges, when it comes to game management, when it comes to just anything and everything. It's the same errors over and over. And they're key players making those decisions too. Ronnie's been in the team since 2019. Now he's a leader and he's made multiple errors in that regard. Same too with plenty of other players that you'd expect more of as well. I know Nicaro was trying to put him on the other day, but he did leave the ground with his feet and he did hit Luai high and it was a fair sin bin, that one. That other one, the Tigers cop, was horror. That was part of the crackdown, but it's just frustrating. We're watching it evaporate before our eyes. The season, that is, it's not gone yet, but it's not helping.
Top 8.
And well, we're 4-4.
One win ahead of second last, which is the Eels.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and we're playing the Eels this week with Moses back, and that's anyway. So
we'll talk about that in a minute.
That's the frustrating thing. That I'm not saying we're gone, but it doesn't take much over this next couple of months for it to be gone if they don't pull their socks up.
All right, that was the fallout from the Tigers match. Look, there was an amazing debrief from Franko and Lats. So you guys did such a good job taking us through all of the issues and discussion points. So if you haven't listened to that one yet and you want to go deep on the Tigers match, Franko and Lats did a good job on that one. Go get involved in that show and let us know what you think. All right, let's get on to it. So next segment is the Sharks news with our dear friend Scott Latino, who's going to take us through all of the happenings that Sharks fans have been talking about on social media, from sharks.com.au and various other segments. This new segment is brought to you by Morgans at Cronulla for all of your stockbroking needs. Lats, what's making news in the Sharks media segment and area of the world?
Our Jersey Flegg squad scored a solid 46-20 victory over the Tigers at Lidcombe Oval on Saturday. Nicola Williams opening our try-scoring account in the first minute of the match. Boys never looked in trouble with both Dylan Coutts and Preston Lane Sietu, both scoring doubles and tries also to Lahuan, Vito, Stefano, Sele and Taj Ford. Riley Pollard slotting 7 of 8 conversions. Sees the boys sitting 4th on the ladder after 8 rounds, and they go on to play the third-place Eels at Henson Park this Saturday at 12:50 p.m. The Newtown Jets scored a lovely little 18 points to 6 win over the Magpies, also at Lidcombe Oval last Saturday. The Magpies shot out to an early 6-point lead before being run over by the Jets, who go on to score 18 unanswered points to seal the win. Tries to Michael Gabriel, Eli Clark, and big, fresh Braden Hamlin Ueli, which is an encouraging sign given how low we are on troops at the moment. the Sharks, and the boys sit second on the knock-on effect New South Wales Cup ladder behind the Warriors by just 18 differential points. However, the Wars have already had their bye and the Jets have not. A great next man up culture is evident at Newtown, given how many players have been plucking away from them of late, and how many injuries they've encountered also. One of them, unfortunately, being Cade Dykes going down with a non-contact knee injury over the weekend, which is believed to be a patella tendon rupture. He's looking at 6 to 9 months recovery, with NRL physio stating it's one of the hardest injuries to recover from as a professional athlete. He copped a bit of flack on NRL physio's comments by the public, which he had a nice little reply. Thanks for your support. Thumbs up.
It's a pretty good answer, wasn't it?
Oh, mate, very fitting. Good.
Pretty good answer. That one was found on the Discord. That one was found on the Discord channel. So if you want to get involved in Sharks chats, there's a couple of Shark characters and Sharks fans that keep you abreast of the latest happenings. I thought that was a good pickup.
Yeah, there is some great content on that Discord channel.
I thought it was quite a good get a new career, son. That's the sort of thing you'd say, lads.
Never. I would not do that.
Anyway.
All the best, Cade, with your recovery. Hope to see you on the paddock sooner rather than later. The boys go on to play the third place Eels at Henson Park at 3 p.m. this Saturday in the club's annual retro round. The club is offering $10 entry if you're wearing a retro jersey, and given there's not a great deal of live footy around Sydney over the weekend, it'd be a great way to spend your Saturday afternoon after getting out to vote. Alrighty, after receiving 3 points for that brilliant effort in a losing side over the weekend, Will Kennedy keeps pole position atop the Dally M leaderboard after 8 rounds. Fans amongst the socials are loving what they're seeing from Will over the last month. They're urging the club to throw a pen and paper in front of him and lock him down. Boys, I'm going to put forward a proposal. Given our lack of depth now in the fullback position, with Ison's coming to an ACL injury and Dykes going down over the weekend, and the way Will's been performing of late, should we release Atkinson to the Dragons early to free up cap space and sign Kennedy?
I'm going to let Franko answer that one.
You're assuming that cap space is the reason why we're not signing Kennedy. Ultimately, I'd say that Atkinson would be our fullback backup if Kennedy was to go down. So really, I would be looking to put him back down to the Jets and run around a fullback for the Jets, so he's got some fitness and a few games under his belt as fullback, so that if something did have Kennedy, he steps up as a ready-made replacement, as opposed to a guy that's only been getting 12 minutes a game and doesn't have the fitness needed for fullback. So, yeah, no, look, I don't think letting Atkinson go is the right call unless we're getting something in return. That said, I don't think that's the reason why we're not re-signing him. There's got to be something else going on there. And for all we know, they've in the middle of negotiations going back and forth, trying to find the sweet spot that both parties are happy with.
Kelly's probably right there. It's probably to do with that contract year as well. So Atkinson's money and Kennedy's money's tied up for this year. I don't know if releasing him, I don't think it will solve the problem for the salary cap jigsaw puzzle that is next year. Great idea though, but it's a real tricky one because obviously they'll want to keep Dykes, Ison, and maybe Kennedy and Stone Street now, and it's hard.
Yeah, I guess given Marween Hiroti being injured too, Atkinson does look like our backup fullback. So I like that shout, Franko, getting him into New South Wales Cup and just getting him to find his feet there at fullback, familiarise it, and if we need to use him. All right, the club announced through the week that Classic Sportswear will remain its official apparel supplier until at least the end of the 2030 season. Hopefully next year we'll see an Anzac jersey released, as there are a lot of disappointed fans across the socials over the past week. Classic have been producing some great jerseys over the years. I own a few, one being one that I won off the continuous call team when I was 12. It's still going strong. It still fits. Yes, I was a pretty chubby 12-year-old. Great quality jerseys for years to come.
Isn't it only that only every 50% of the teams, only one team can have a special jersey? Not every team can have a special jersey, is I think the way that the
Anzac, I thought it was the home team gets the...
Yeah, right.
Fair enough.
Oh, if only we had a merch expert.
All right, there's an angry mob of fans right across the socials this week that are bringing the heat towards Fitzy and his passive outlook on last Sunday's results. In the presser, Fitzy didn't seem too concerned and didn't think we played too bad. The fans believe he's not firm enough with the team and that he keeps giving away same passive responses week in, week out after a loss. They're concerned the players aren't fearing being dropped, and we're now in year 4 of Fitzy's tenure, and the fans want more growth and consistency from the coaching staff and the playing group.
Basically, they've been no good ever since I said that I supported them, really.
Well, writing's on the wall.
All right. Anything else? Is that it, lads? That's it, isn't it?
That's it for the socials, mate.
All right. Perfect. All right. Bit happening in the Shark space. All right. Well, look, now it's on to the next. And sometimes when you face a loss like the Sharks face the, here we go. It's Super Chat. Look at this. All right. We're going to interrupt the show. Here we go.
Hold the phone.
Hold the phone. What's up, TV? We're just interrupting the show. It's so good. All right. Hey, boys. Hope you're enjoying AFB, and thank you for Sam Healy. Are you enjoying AFB? Let's get a response on that. Listen, I just say, of all of the YouTube channels that relate to rugby league, Waz Up TV is definitely the second best one. No, they're just absolute legends.
They've been legends from the get-go, haven't they?
They've been absolute legends. Legends from the get-go. So let's just chat about AFB. Look, he was second on my player tiers. The query I have for AFB, I just don't think we've got AFB's minutes right yet, Franko, to see the full impact from him, are we?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a juggling act. We sort of discussed it a bit. We don't need to have him on the park as long as the Warriors did. We've got a good pack around him. It's just a matter of wondering if there's, I don't know, if there's a pecking order or a belief that he's going to do the bulk of the work. Certainly seems a little bit unbalanced at the moment, but I think he's doing great. Absolutely loving him. He's got this weird loping attitude that almost looks as though he's non-committal in defense or, being a bit lazy, but he always seems to turn up where he shouldn't be, always, gets where he needs to be. So yeah, I'm really happy with him. I think it's been a good signing for us. It's just, we haven't really seen his efforts translating to better performance from the rest of the team. I do think that maybe we need to be a bit more prepared for his offloads, though. I think that's something that we're missing a trick on.
Well, you called that out. The debrief was a common thing of the effort plays and just there's a bit of getting used to know him. Chris Kelly in the comments says, poor AFB looked frustrated, setting up the field goal so well and the other players blowing it. Lats, your response to that?
Yeah, mate, I agree. He did look, I get what Franko's saying also in regards to, he looks uninterested, but he's always turns up. He always delivers. His numbers up against Terrell Mays surprised me when Franko hit me with them on the debrief the other night, that they were almost identical to Mays and he played 20 less minutes and May had a blinder. He did look annoyed and fed up around the field goals. I don't even know if he was expecting that ball. I don't know if he was meant to be a decoy runner just to catch people off guard and flick it to Nico. But AFB's been huge. Love him.
All right, Matty, what question I'm going to ask you. How far off is he being our biggest, best, high-profile signing ever? What does he need to do? I guess premiership to eclipse Luke Lewis, isn't it? It's got to be premiership.
Premiership would definitely play into that, but yes, been very happy with him so far. On the other part of that comment regarding Sam Healy, glad you're enjoying him. Just get him to get the runs on the board, and then we'll happily take him back in 3 or 4 years. Thank you.
Hold on, Waz, before you go, buddy. There was a part 2 to that question.
We know it's come on. I was coming back to that, Franko. Let's talk about Sam
looks
Healy.
Like he's saying good night, though. Waz, mate, hang on. We're going to get to it.
Thank you for Sam. Sam Healy? Is that? Yeah, there we go.
Sam Healy.
That's what I said.
Says here, good points, SF and SL. Thanks for the response, guys. Good night, boys. No, don't good night, mate. Hang on a second. Hang on. So Sam Healy, mate. I was certainly a little bit outspoken. I was sad to lose him. I really thought he had something to offer the club as a retention option. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So upset to see him go. But also curious, this is going to be an interesting chat since you're typing it through, but you said thank you for Sam Healy. He hasn't played first grade yet, has he? He's only been for the New South Wales Cup. Obviously, you guys are leading the table there, so he's doing something good for you there. But I'm excited to see him get a leg up in first grade.
He should be saying thank you for Metcalf.
I was going to say you're welcome for Metcalf too, Waz.
Yeah, buddy, he should be saying thank you for Metcalf. But anyway, we love the guys. The guys from Waz Up TV are she's actually the Warriors guys. I was so worried for you Warriors fans too when we saw you in Las Vegas. But since then, you've been absolutely on fire. And we're going to marry him off to a Kiwi girl is the final comment. All right, so in conclusion, we're loving AFB, Waz Up TV. He's got a bit to go before he's an iconic Luke Lewis level Shark signing, or Ben Barber or James Maloney. But besides that, he's so far, so good. All right, so we'll get into it. So that is an example of how the super chats work. That was a great example of a super chat, wasn't it, Franko?
It was wonderful.
It was like perfect. It was like absolutely perfect. So we'll.
And it wasn't even from a Sharks fan.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now we don't want that. We want that one. All right, on to the Eels preview. All right, so sometimes when you lose a match like that, you want a short turnaround so you can just get back on the field as soon as possible to correct the wrongs of what happened last weekend. And the Sharks get to do that this weekend as they travel to Brisbane for a Magic Round to tackle the well-rested Eels who have had a week off to prep for this one. Friday night, 6 p.m. at Suncorp Stadium. I'm sure the Sharks fans are gathering at a pub somewhere or other beforehand. Get to sharks.com.au or the Sharks socials. If anyone in the comments can tell us what they're up to. Sadly, none of us can make it this weekend. We just all went on Las Vegas. This match preview is brought to you by Miranda Hotel. So if you're looking for somewhere to go to watch the Sharks in the Shire this weekend, get to Miranda Hotel to take advantage of those $7 schooners. And apparently, if you tell them that Boldo sent you, it cost you $8. All right, the team's been named. Isn't that depressing? The team's been named. Here they are. Hold on, let's switch to that view.
Genuine 2019 prices.
29. It's actually more expensive if you tell them the Boldo sent you. All right, Franko, the team lists have come out. What's your thought on the team that's been named, mate?
Well, I mean, are you reading the team out for the people that can't see that?
I was meant to ask you that and just realised that I've said the wrong thing. So, Franko, would you like to read the team out for us?
Not particularly, no, but I'll give it a crack. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, give it a go.
It's a bit of a copy and paste with a couple of key changes. William Kennedy at fullback, Sam Stonestreet, and Ronaldo Mulatalo on the wings. We've got Jesse Ramian and the return of KL Iro. So Iro is back from his hammy issue, replacing the injured Hiroti. We've then got in the halves Braden Trindle, Nico Hines. In the front of the engine room, we've got AFB, Oregon Kafusi, hooked by Blake Brayley. Back row, we've got Britton Nickera and Billy Burns, retains his position with Wilton still out. Lock is Cameron McInnes. The bench is Dan Atkinson, Siosifa Talakai, Tommy Hazelton, and Hamlin Ueli is back after, as you heard, Scott Latino mentioned him scoring that final cherry on top of the pie there in the New South Wales Cup match for the Jets. So yeah, Hamlin Ueli back. He seemed to be fit and firing in that Jets match, so hopefully he brings a bit of vigor and attitude to this one. What do I think about it? Look, I'm very excited to see Hamlin Ueli back. I'm not going to expect too much from him, but very happy to be pleasantly surprised if that's not the case. Like we've said, he generally takes a couple of games to warm up. That said, he might be a bit frustrated how his season's been going, so he might come on with a red hot crack. KL Iro is a great inclusion. Obviously, timing is perfect, but at the same time, we didn't really lose much with Hiroti there. Hiroti was doing a great job for us. The only thing maybe you'd say KL was we missed from him is the meters coming out of our own end. Certainly, Hiroti did a good job there, but it was not the same punch as what Iro provided there. On the attack, probably didn't miss much there. No slight on Iro, more pumping the tires of Hiroti here. That said, it's almost a like for like, but I think a slight upgrade. So pretty happy to have Iro back.
Where do we need to improve?
Everywhere, mate. Everywhere. Look, we lost to the team that was the only team the Eels have beaten. So we really need to sort of be be on point with this one. I think it's going to be a scenario where we've had the 5-day turnaround, and the Eels have had the bye, so they're well rested. That could be a big part of this match, considering that the games that we've been most disappointed about, mainly the Bulldogs match and the Tigers match, have been, you generally say, due to a lack of enthusiasm. That's probably a bit harsh, but really the classic ambush came out, and we've been put to the task and been slow on the jump. So we really need to be ready. There's going to be a big atmosphere. First game of Magic Round. Don't know what the stadium crowd will be like, given it's an early Friday match and 2 Sydney teams, but still it's going to be, the whole weekend is going to be pumping. So just get out there, do our best, and try and put them on the back foot from the first ball.
Abdo was on NRL 360 talking about the draw, and he was questioned by Rothfield, who said, why do the Sharks have the 3 short turnarounds and other teams don't seem to have any? The Sharks literally coming off a Sunday match, going into a Friday match, playing at Magic Round. I don't understand why the Sharks aren't on the Sunday or on a different day. It's just purely a TV ratings pick or whatever that might be. Just seems harsh on the Sharks fans. But when he says, managing the draw is difficult, yeah, granted, it's 17 teams and I get it, 3 buys, and you've also got to manage where the teams play and all that sort of stuff. Lads, there's got to be frustration about the Sharks playing Friday night. This is just BS, isn't it?
I was talking about it with the boys at work today. It's ridiculous. We got the latest game Sunday into the earliest game of the round. We've had to travel to Brisbane, not to mention all the travel that we've had to do over the last few weeks, 6 weeks or so. We've had the game in Perth, which should have been scheduled later in the year. It is annoying, mate. It is annoying, and that for that reason, I'm predicting an Eels win. I think they get it. Yeah, I'm not confident with this. Moses is back. He's had a week to blow off the cobwebs. He gets his Origin campaign, kicks that off, and mate, I'm worried.
And as you say, the Sharks will lose. Your flag falls down behind you.
There you go.
Oh, goodness
Last
me.
time that happened, we went on a 2-game winning.
All right. Well, look. All right. Well, I'm transitioning well here because, Williams, I'm going to transition to you because I know that Magic Round typically sucks for us, and you know the Magic Round numbers well. So, historical form for us in this scenario, what do you got?
Well, Magic Round, we won last year and we won back in 2019. In between, we lost many times. Well, we lost to South in there, the Raiders at least a few times. Who knows what? I've blocked them from my memory. Anyway, the Dolphins in there too. We're not great. Back in 2019, the first Magic Round, we won there. Kyle Flanagan missed 1,000 conversions, but Paul Gallen kicked one at the end. So I think it was a comfortable win there after conceding early. Against the Eels, we played 97 times and we've beaten them 51. We've got the wood on them. They've won 46. However, they've had some big wins over us. So over that time, they're leading the overall points tally of 1,823 to 1,596. So a few times they have beaten us, cough 74-4 and the like. It's been large. But anyway, we have won more than them. We have yet to play them at a neutral venue. And to the best of my knowledge and research, we have not played them in any finals matches.
We haven't never played them in a finals match. Isn't that amazing?
Correct. So we have never played them at a neutral venue. We played them obviously at Shark Park and Parramatta Stadium and Cumberland Oval and Belmore Sports Ground and the old Parramatta Stadium, even ANZ Stadium or Core Stadium as it's now known. But yes, we haven't exactly played them at a neutral ground. So this is a first for both teams. And that's about it for the score. I mean, I suppose I could just embellish on it for a little bit there. There was a period in the like the Roosters in the period where we were terrible, 09, 2010, 2011 and the like, where we beat them regularly like we did the Roosters, no matter how well the Eels were going. And they did make the grand final in 09. We were diabolical and we'd caused some trouble, but they have beaten us several times of late, including at CommBank last year where we came off that horror 40-0 home loss to the
geez, you were so angry after that Eels loss too.
You got me. Yes, I was driving home, and yes, I was ranting and raving at what was a completely lifeless and insipid display, which had me thinking, well, is it an energy thing? And the short turnaround is not helping us nano bit.
One iota. All right. Well, look,
Iota is the term.
The Eels team to take on the Sharks. I actually
Gosh,
typed up
that's
the teams list. So
horrible colour. Like you can't even see the yellows. Are we
so
playing against half a team? That would be great. That's like the
normally
74-4 game in reverse.
Well, so normally Chris's wife, for a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of the ET stand. Normally Chris's wife does the team list for us, but she's away, and so the team list for Parramatta Eels. This is the way that she did it up with the colour. So she clearly tries harder because Anik is if I remove Lats, yeah, there we go. There's Anik there. There's Anik there in a Shark jersey. So just wear clear Latin, Anik. We know you're really a closet Sharks fan, but Anik does the Eels team up in the blue and yellow. Jeez, it's an ugly blue and an ugly yellow on the Eels. But anyway, the Eels team to take on the Sharks. Yeah, Franko, you want to read that one out for us as well, seeing as you did the other one? Not particularly.
Yeah, we've got fullback is Isaiah Longy. We've got Bailey Simonson, Will Penasini, Sean Russell, Josh Addo-Carr. In the halves, we've got Dylan Brown and the returning Mitch Moses, who had a cracker in his return match before the bye. Sharkies, Jack Williams, Riley Smith, Junior Paulo, Charlie Gamir, Keen Kutuga, Kelly, how am I going? Jermaine Hopgood, and then on the bench we've got Dylan Walker, Luca Moretti, Matt Dury, and Sam Tuivali. That yellow is terrible. Tuivati.
And I actually fixed the typo on Josh Addo-Carr, but just uploaded the wrong image. And so now I can't find it. I was going to fix it. So Josh Addo-Carr. As I was updating the Eels team, there's a lot of changes from the Eels team from last year when we played them in round 13. Noticeably, it took me about 5 minutes to type up all of the different new players. I can't say I'm enormously familiar with a bunch of these players. What was your? Oh, is there a comment there or something, Franko? You're laughing at.
CK has given me an 8 out of 10 for that reading.
Oh, there we go. 8 out of 10. Maybe we should start ranking the readings, and so that can be a thing that we do. We rank the games, so we can rank out the readings as well. Yeah, look, the mail that I've got, it's all about Mitchell Moses being back in the team. I've never really particularly rated Dylan Brown that much, but and then Josh Addo-Carr, boy, he's just still so quick, are just the only players that really scare me. Lats, your big tip and a loss. Williams, you tip and a win. Are we going to beat this Eels team?
I mean, Sharks have shocked in the past, and these been the kind of games when everyone's they're up against it. I haven't even looked at the odds, but I think it'll be Eels by 14.
Eels by 14. All right, fair enough. Franko, why don't you give us a tip as well?
Jeez, I don't know. I finally got on board the Sharks are going to do it, and picked us against the Tigers and crumpled in a heap. I'm not feeling confident. We saw what happened last year. Moses schooled us. It was something that you'd hope we would learn from and be better this time round, but the more things change, the more they say the same. So yeah, I'm probably going with a bit of a loss here as well. I don't think it will be a belting. I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be one that we probably feel we could win, but miss out. So probably lose by 4.
Oh, geez, the pessimism, guess that.
Hopefully, I don't know, Riles has some harebrained idea to put Jack Williams on for the last 30 seconds off the bench and drops the ball and we win.
Well, Jack Williams, we know. Well, the thing is that they haven't been talking about Jack Williams dropping the ball lately, the Eels fans. So we know what that means. It means that it might be time for another Jack Williams match where it's time for him to drop the ball. Oh, goodness me. All right. Well, some other tips.
Get in trouble for calling him a ball dropper anymore, can we? He's not a Sharks player anymore.
Fair game, mate. He's fair game.
Fair game. Give him some stick.
Yeah, no. Jack Williams will definitely drop the ball against the Sharks. He always drops the ball. He just always drops the ball. So anyway, all right.
Or he'll get suplexed by BHU.
Okay, exactly. Yeah. All right, get your tips in. Harley is tipping the Sharks to win by 20. And Chris Kelly is calling out a season-defying win or loss. We win by 18 here. I'm going to come out and say I reckon the Sharks are going to win this game. Actually, I'm feeling pretty confident. So the Sharks, under pressure, under fire, they need to pull it out. And I actually don't rate Mitchell Moses at all. And I think it's finally time for Nico to prove that he's better than Moses.
On that, Moses plays very well against us. He
does.
Probably the definition of a flat track bully. He played well in Origin with obviously a dominant forward pack and 13 players on the field and in possession, in a good possession and field position and the like. But he's had a few. He did have a dud game against us in 2024 early on at Combank Stadium. What was that? 2 years ago now, 2023, early 2023, when you and I were there. It was a 6 p.m. Friday game, and he scored 2 tries. I think it was a milestone game, but he also, I remember he kicked down the full. I remember he was also screaming at the referee and came out of line, and we took advantage of that, and that was a beautiful moment, seeing him basically not playing the whistle, schoolboy errors. So, and he also late last year missed a whole stack of field goals in another, I suppose, clutch moment that he didn't take. So, and the media didn't say boo about that, but they focused on Nico. So maybe being a bit harsh. I do rate him as a player that's capable of playing well. I don't think he's consistent though. He was very good 2 weeks ago. They're fresh off the bye, so that's the danger.
Chris Kelly in the comment has given us the update that the Eels are $1.49 favourite, with the Eels at $2.64.
And,
all right. Well, look, we're going to do I've got the guys from the Para Cave podcast coming on. So they're going to do an opposition fan preview with us to run us through all of these. And I wasn't going to miss that comment. Don't worry. So lastly, just rounding this out, SJD has given you a score of 0 out of 10 reading because there was no music. Oh, SJD. I didn't realize that SJD's flipped. He's now on Team Boldo, I think. SJD's now on Team Boldo. Yeah. Maybe.
If we had the music, you wouldn't be able to hear me. So
that's true. Right. Mark Smith in the comments saying, unfortunately, I put Para to win in my multi. Normally, when I go against the Sharks, we win, and we will win for the rest of the season. All right. Well, maybe that's an omen for us there, Mark. And all right, get your comments in. All right, let's move on to the league roundup with Lats. So a bit happening around the league, and here to do his best Chris Kelly impersonation is Scott Latino. Lats, let's get into it now. I'm going to give you a different view because there's an amusing GIF in your presentation today. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go on that. So yeah, get into it, mate.
Well, mate, I'll knock this one on the head early, boys. Pun, and that's the NRL's crackdown over the past couple of weeks for any high contact. Fans have been absolutely seething, stating it's a terrible look for the game. It's soft. I totally agree. Not only were there 18 sin bins, there were a plethora of penalties for hits that wouldn't even get a second look most weeks. Abdo has come out and denied any such crackdown and deflected it, stating there's been no policy shift. Meanwhile, Graham Annesley has revealed the NRL has no plans to back down on their high shot crackdown. So a bit of discrepancy there. What are your thoughts on it, boys?
I understand where the NRL is coming from, and the only reason could be litigation, but they're not revealing that, and that's where the BS comes, and that's where a lot of people are frustrated in that they turn around and say, "Oh, there's no crackdown. This is business as usual." Yet you got 18, and the referees, not only the video referees, but the main referees, video referees, and the like were in sync with how they were interpreting any contact with the head. We come back however many plays we need to, and we send a guy to the bin. Deliberate acts of foul play, the Bulldogs played the other night. And even, I'd say, Nicaragua warranted sin bins, but all the other ones that were, I suppose, part of the game and were not intentional or were incidental, I think is the term, were the complete and utter overkill. And the going back multiple plays, yes, there was a comment on SEN this morning talking to Lee Hadjipentelis in their kind of legal chat that Vossi and Brandy do on a Tuesday morning. They're talking about all things sport and the law, and they were saying, is this potentially a play or by the NRL to show that they're doing all they possibly can by changing the penalties and the repercussions for any head knocks? And the lawyer, Lee Hadjipentelis, said yes. That was a Brian Fletcher kind of, I suppose, comment on, I think, maybe the Matty John show the other night. But he was basically saying that this is how you draw the parallel there, or this is what they're doing. The frustrating thing is the NRL, I don't know if it's legally, they can't come out and say it. But they're obviously, as Boldo said before the show, they're trying to ensure that we have a game to watch. It's incredibly frustrating, though, that the lack of consistency is always. And surely, I don't know whether it's fines or penalties, anything other than a sin bin would probably be suitable. And I'd encourage you all to listen. I'm sure that Dan and Kemp would have snipped it down into less than his 4-hour podcast this week, but they were talking for about 20 minutes about the impact. It's a really nuanced issue in that we obviously all love the game. We all love the toughness of it, but also we're getting incredibly frustrated with the I suppose the sin bins, the impact on the product, the impact that the sin bin has on the game. And as I lose my internet, the issue is that basically we're losing these players and it's having huge impacts on the game. The Tigers Eels game last week, we saw 3 tries scored in 10 minutes. You got to overhaul the sin bin rule. The NRL has created a faster match, faster game, which creates more fatigue, which then exacerbates the issue. Then you have more high shots, deliberate or otherwise, more sin bins, and then the vicious cycle occurs and people go, you know what, I'm not going to go and pay my good money to go watch my game this week because it might be all ruined, all thrown out the door by one, I suppose, accidental act of foul play, or otherwise it's deemed sin binnable, and then you lose the match. Like the Tigers Eels game, you could say the Tigers lost it in that 10-minute period, and that was that. So
they definitely did lose that match then, didn't they, Williams? I've got an easy solution for you on the sin bins, Williams. The sin bins should be power play. So a player goes off. If the team scores, then the player comes back on. That's it.
Well, it's ice hockey, and that's what seems to be the
it's ice hockey.
That's what seems, or even make it 13 on 13, but that player with the foul play goes off and is replaced by someone else. Like there's ways to do it that don't have the impact. And the NRL, classic with their changing of interpretations, rules, and the like mid-season. Yes, it's for a very good cause. We want this game.
Yeah, but that's not any different to policing speeding versus drunk driving versus focusing on this. They have the rules that are there, and they just happen to say, we're focusing on speeding now, just to remind people. It is not different to what you see in normal civilization. It but just gets more under the sport. I don't hate it as much as you, Williams. I'm not sure.
No, I'll rephrase it. I see the purpose, and I'm a father of a 7-year-old who's playing footy, and I want him to be able to not get CTE. That's simple as that. That'd be child abuse if I was putting him. And that's the hard thing. This game, like NFL and other games, contact sports, AFL, there's multiple class actions against them. They were talking on the radio today about the former Knights winger whose name doesn't come to me at the moment. He did play for Scotland, though. No, it wasn't George Smith. It was not Smith. It'll come to me. He tried $1 million compensation claim, was thrown out the Newcastle Supreme Court because it was shown that the Knights had shown the duty of care. But it only takes 1 or 2 precedents to come through.
And they're toast.
It could be completely toast, and there's the game gone. So I understand the frustration, but I think that the NRL, I don't know if it's legally or otherwise, but we're all not the smartest people around, but we can see bullshit. I've just said
Franko is, but BS. You and I aren't, Matthew.
It's BS when they turn around and go, no, it's no crackdown. Of course it's a crackdown. But explain, hey, this is for if people were given the reason, the rationale why, they would understand it more. And a solution. No solution's been provided at the moment. That's the thing. You got lawyers coming out, and this is what Dan Kemp and his mates were talking about. Lawyers coming out saying, players have got to focus on tackle technique. They're professionals. They're the best tacklers. They have the best technique in the game. And a lot of the time, those players that were doing the tackling and cause the incidental contact, if they put themselves into a different position, they themselves would have risked a head knock for themselves. And then what onus is there on the ball carrier to turn around and or what penalty is there against them? So it's a difficult thing.
It's a physical game. Right. Just wear helmets. All right, move it on. We can talk about this. We can do a whole podcast.
We go on, Boldo. I believe that winger was James McManus.
Bang on. Thank you.
Yeah, it was James McManus. All right, on to the next.
All right, it looks
Franko, you're next. I've worked out that I can tell you guys who to talk by moving you up the screen. So what I do is I move Franko up. So therefore, Franko is the one who responds to this. Might be a new way of me working this show. All right, let's go, lads.
All right, looks like the Eagles have found their man to take over from DCE at season's end, with Jamal Fogarty meeting with Ricky Stewart this morning to inform him of his decision to leave the nation's capital and head for the Northern Beaches at season's end on a 3-year, $2 million deal. Huge blow for Canberra and a great get for the Eagles. Fogarty stated he'd battled with his decision over several weeks. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that meeting, as I do enjoy a good Ricky tantrum.
How good's the GIF? I had to change the whole layout just so we could see Ricky Stewart saying F off. Franko, you want to respond to that, or are we just moving on to the next?
Oh, look, no, I think it's probably pretty obvious that was what was going to happen. Fogarty's been performing really well. He gets to move to arguably a club with a bit more marketability, a bit more flat player profile for himself, and he's going to be that. As far as we can tell anyway, a bit of that stopgap for the next crop of young playmakers to come through the Manly ranks. So it is a big blow for Canberra because of the age of their team and what they've got. He was going to be their guiding light for a bunch of young kids, and without him there, they might start to struggle next year.
Here's a 2-second tangent for you on halves. If we go back there for a second. So Fogarty, half, highly desirable. There was a Sydney Morning Herald article the other day talking about the lack of halves in the NRL and the reasons why. Complex discussion, talking about everything from mums not wanting their little kids to play to the lack of little kids playing. So therefore, your playmakers go. There's no ability. Joey Johns was talking about no ability for players to actually, in juniors, dart into the line and work out figure out space and running holes and the like. And it even got to the point, so that goes back to your head knock discussion and the crackdown, but also talking to, and this is a much bigger argument, Joey Johns, and I don't rate him too much as a commentator, but it was a really good point. He said, how many backyards are in Sydney anymore? Backyard footy's gone. So.
Oh, Joey Johns with a good point. Finally. What a moment.
It's
All right,
a good point. We're talking about house prices. But anyway, moving on. Bears.
All right. News broke during the week. The NRL and the WA government had finally reached an agreement to bring back Boldo's Bears. Still yet to be signed off on by the clubs and the Rugby League Players Association. After exiting the competition in 99, the Bears look to re-enter the NRL for the 2027 season and beyond. And don't be surprised to see Boldo pack his bags, head to Perth, start the JT Stand podcast in honour of Jason Taylor.
Well, certainly the Bears coming back into the rugby league is going to activate an untapped fan base and a bunch of people that were pretty much dudded by the NRL when they got kicked out. And it also is good news for the Eels fans because now the longest premiership drought is no longer the Parramatta Eels. It is the WA Bears, who haven't won since, what was it, 1921-22. Now, great outcome for the Bears. They're a traditional club. They've got a brand. They exist. It's good to see them back in it. Absolutely no complaints here. And yep, looking forward to starting up the JT podcast, which is obviously not going to happen.
All righty. Roosters big man and journalist nightmare Spencer Leniu crosses another name off his hit list, where it is alleged he ripped into Brent Reid after coming from the field in his Anzac Day clash against the Dragons last Friday. Seems to be a bit of a pattern with Spencer, and I can't wait to see the Roosters v Knights clash in a couple of months, and hopefully we can get Joey on the sidelines for that one. There's a bit of a cultural mix-up prior to the Storm v Bunnies game with the last-minute cancellation of the Welcome to Country, which was to be performed by Wurundjeri elder Auntie Joy Murphy Wandin, who was allegedly informed by the club on Friday afternoon that she was no longer required to address the crowd prior to the match. 2 First Nations groups were also scheduled to perform, but all decided to cancel their performances after, they pulled the pin on it, the Storm. The cancellation came after several people interrupted the Welcome to Country at a Melbourne Dawn service earlier in the day. It's believed after cancelling it, the club reversed its decision and did reach out to Auntie Joy Murphy Wandin, asking her to continue with the ceremony as originally planned, in which she declined.
Do we even want to touch this one, boys? Oh, we just
no, I didn't want to.
Oh, look, it is a bit of a weird one. Melbourne Storm came out before the season kicked off saying that they were doing away with Welcome to Country in terms of, I think they did it for every match, is my understanding, and now they said we're only going to do it for the important games, which you would say Anzac Day match is an important one, so a bit weird how this one sort of slipped, and terrible sights there, and the dawn service there down in Melbourne really exacerbated this. I'm not sure what the timeline of events were, but certainly the impact was a bit gross. So yeah,
they had to cancel it, Matty. They had to cancel it because it was going to be a disaster. If the Melbourne fans boo, it's disastrous.
Storm were in a no-win situation there. It happened that morning. They had to make a decision, and rightly or wrong, it's occurred, and then created this story. But Boldo's right. If it then created a boo and then another issue with the football, it's a hard one, right? And I'm not touching it any further than it's just like everything, a very nuanced and great discussion.
I'm just going to make one comment on it. Franko has talked to us about how he thinks the haka for New Zealand players is often overdone and it loses its impact. And like anything, I remember watching the Sharks each week, and you would see the Australian anthem sung and played. And so now it's actually quite moving when the Australian anthem comes out. And so like anything, if you do it over and over and over again, it just loses its impact. And so I think that is where the welcome to country is probably found itself. And I think the people who are supporters of that tradition maybe are going to go look at it and work out, all right, well, what are we trying to achieve and when is an appropriate time for it? And rugby league fans, when they don't like stuff, they typically boo. When your team comes off the field and they've played badly, you get booed. So it's pretty nasty when the Sharks are playing badly and they get booed. So if the welcome to country got booed, I think that would be pretty bad. Let's just leave that. I'm sure it's a tough situation for all. We'll just move on to the next subject. All right, Kennedy Watch. It's a more positive subject. I reckon he can win the whole Daily M. Now, there was a comment this week on YouTube that said that it's the Daily M, not the Daily M. So apologies for getting it wrong for the last 8 weeks, but I reckon he can win. And the reason he can win is because none of the other Sharks players are in form, and none of the other Sharks players are going to get enough points to take points off Kennedy. And it just seems he's just the top guy every week, isn't he, Matthew?
Well, it only takes one or two of those players, let's say Trindle or Hines or someone else, to get some form, and then they would start taking points. So it's not hard. Players could take points off Kennedy on Friday night, and who else is around him? A few points ahead. I think it'll be really tough. I think if he wins the Daily M, it'll be awesome, and obviously he's had a great year. But as a team overall, how do we look there if he's the one getting all the points every week? Has the rest of the team failed the fire, or is he just that good? It's difficult.
Franko, play that scenario out for us. Kennedy wins the Daily M. What happens if that happens? What has needed to have taken place?
I guess the first question is, does he win the Daily M? If he does win it, I don't care if he's the one that's firing, because it's the winning team that generally gets the bulk of the points, right? So we saw when Nico Hines got the Daly M. We were second. We had a lot of wins under our belt, which emphasizes how many points generally given to a team, especially with the double voting now, with a maximum of 6 points on offer. I think he's only 2 or 3 points ahead of May at the moment, so he's not far ahead of anyone, especially, like I said, when 6 points are there. But for him to keep getting points, we're going to need to keep winning, and if that's the case, then all for it. But I don't think he's going to win. I think we're either going to not win enough games, or, as Williams has said, we're going to start to share the load a little bit and see Hines or Trindle take a few points from him.
Kennedy stays injury-free. Might be a good bet, Lats. And I'm just going to throw it to you, Lats. The whole reason why Kennedy is playing well, it's just the contract year, isn't it? It's just that you rabbit on about it so much.
The contract factor, it has merit. It's almost up there with the third try principle. Look, I love seeing Will Kennedy up there, but I guess when we're seeing him up there, we're not seeing Nico and Trindle getting points consistently. So whether that means they're not doing their job as effectively. But look, this is a very close competition. Anyone can beat anyone on the day, and I think it maybe is a shot at it. You know, like if he can stay injury free, he's a shot.
All right. Okay. Well, Kennedy, Daily M watch might be a Daily M. Might be a regular segment. Hopefully it is a segment, but I reckon it's also entirely plausible that Kennedy doesn't receive another point for the rest of the season once I said that he think he can win. All right, so we'll watch this space with bated breath. All right, and lastly, build on the show was a Storytime Boldo story. So these guys actually haven't heard this story yet. So on the weekend, I was hanging out at a pub in Chelsea in London, watching the Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace game, and then enjoying a feed with a couple of Shire mates of mine. One, a notable Shire guy called Matt Bruce, who used to be the club captain of the Cronulla Surf Life Saving Club. And I kid you not, this older gentleman just comes up next to us and puts his little food thing on our table and says to us, "Oh, is it okay if I just stand here? I've just ordered some chips for myself." We started chatting to this guy. I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." He's like, "Oh, what did you do today?" And he was an Australian guy we worked out, and he'd actually been to the Chelsea versus Aston Villa match. So he goes, "Oh, who's your team? Why would you go to that?" He's like, "Do you support Chelsea?" "No." "Do you support Aston Villa?" "No." "Oh, do you even like soccer?" "No, that's not my sport." "Oh, you like rugby then, do you?" He's like, "No. We're like, "Oh, what do you like?" You don't like rugby league, do you? And he says, yeah, I'm a rugby league guy. And we're like, "Oh, all right, cool. Who's your team?" So we asked this random guy, and we're like, "Well, it's the Cronulla Sharks." And we're like, "Oh, of course it's the Cronulla Sharks." So we get chatting to this guy. And what happened is that it was former Cronulla Sharks board member, Brett Crowley. Now, Brett Crowley was on the board for a very long time, and I saw him present at the 2009 AGM about his plan for what the Leagues Club should have been. And so I kid you not, we then spent 4 or 5 hours with Brett Crowley having beers, chatted to his wife and why they were over in London. I won't tell that story because that's his story for why he's over there. And literally got the lowdown. Now, he still serves on the New South Wales Rugby League judiciary and dials in from various locations. He was an absolute legend, bought us drinks, an absolute legend of a guy. And I actually remember Brett Crowley presenting. So he got ousted off the board with the Barry Pearce stuff. He was one of the 3 board members that got done for the Damien Irvine 3. And I remember seeing him present at the AGM and thinking, geez, he's actually really good. So he talked me through his plan that he had for the Leagues Club at the time. And his plan was a sustainable one where the Sharks actually retained ownership of the land and actually received management fees and service fees and actually would have received more money, which sounded like a pretty good plan. He then proceeded to tell me why the League Club went belly up and where it has gone. I will not reveal that story. But if you ever catch me for beer, I will tell you what I learned from him and what I gleaned from him. But he was an absolute gentleman, an absolute legend. He still serves on the New South Wales Rugby League judiciary. And we're going to get him on the show for an interview. He said that he would catch up. But what are the odds of that? So it must have been the odds of him and me being at the same pub in London is 1 in a couple of thousand. And then being there at the same time is a 1 in 10 on the day. And then him sitting with our table is another 1 in 50. The odds of him, and then the odds of us even chatting to him, was absolutely remarkable. So, and he knew my family and we knew of his people and all that sort of stuff. He's an absolute legend of a guy. So it's just such a cool thing of Sharks fans all around the world. Just something that happened to be. Isn't that amazing, Matty?
That's great. That's awesome. I bumped into Brett Carney after the Canberra Marathon a few years ago, but he wasn't in the state to talk, and I thought that was pretty cool. But being in London,
you also bumped into Daniel Mortimer too, didn't you? That was his dad, or now his own winery. So that was kind of less circumstantial or coincidental. But bumping into an influential Sharks member and a key part of our history in a random pub in London, not coordinated at all. That is the odds of that astronomical. That's awesome, mate. Stuff. I do remember that presentation too. I was there at that 09 AGM. Yeah, you remember? It was a really good presentation. Do you remember that presentation, Franko, or that time?
I do, yeah. Obviously, there was a lot of information flowing around the Sharks at that point in time, and big stakes. I think a lot of Sharks fans were ravenously devouring sort of all the news and all the presentations that were coming out of the club at that time. I'm surprised you kept talking to him after he told you that Franko was his favourite podcaster. So,
well, a lot of people say to me that Franko is their favourite podcast, so that comes up a lot, Franko. So if I didn't talk to people who said that to me, then I wouldn't talk to 78% of our viewership. It's just the random ones like SJD that keep me in the seat, keeping it going. So anyway, that was a lot of good fun. We'll get Brett Crowley in to talk at some point. He's agreed to come onto the show. We'll get that happening, which was great. And then beyond that, I was at the FA Cup semi-final seeing my other sporting love, Nottingham Forest, play. And I'll just say the Nottingham Forest fans, when the team went down 1 goal after 2 minutes, were absolutely brilliant. And there is something that the Sharks fans can learn from seeing their team go behind and just learning how to be a supporters group this supporters group, I kid you not, must be the best in the world for getting their team. They're just understanding of the matches and stuff. So something, I don't know, Shark Cage and CWSC got it right. We can certainly think about in the future. All right, that's enough story time for me. Let's just cover off any comments that we didn't get through. Franko, anything I didn't talk about that you would like us to chat on?
No, mate. I've been told 2 hours is too long, and we've got to keep it under 30 minutes. So we've gone past that, so I'll keep quiet.
All right, SJD in the comments says Will Kennedy is playing well because he's not injured. That is true. I think Chris Kelly is giving us a hard time here in his comments, saying Anzac Day, not Anzac Weekend.
But I mean, on that one, he popped that up when we were talking about Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm actually play on Anzac Day, so
yep.
Yep. Screw you. I missed this one from SJD. Initials, I need a new name. No, you are fine, SJD. You just...
No, he's just SD.
Yeah, he's just SD. Yeah, fair. Sorry, SD. All right. Other than that, any other comments I missed? Shout out again to our Waz Up mates.
One last one from Limbs 2.0.
Oh, 2.0s. Where's that?
Right at the bottom.
Just popped in.
It's most recent.
There we go. 2.0. Too many Karens these days. Can't get out most when you're being told to shut up. Well, 2.0. Yeah, look, you being told to shut up is
you
probably...
just got to go easier on the beers pre-game, and you might not get told to shut up. Boldo, I just wanted to mention one thing. I just want to wish our Origin girls all the best for their game on Thursday night. I think we had 3 girls representing the Sky Blues. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Sydney FC might get upset and try to sue us. But yeah, they got shut down. The Blues got shut down for using Sky Blues. So yeah, we live in a funny world.
What is this world coming to?
And lastly, I'll just say happy birthday to me. None of you bloody bastards wished me a happy birthday on the debrief.
That was that stuff. Like Anzac Day. It was the day before Anzac Day, and you're not to celebrate it or commemorate it afterwards. So we'll see an episode. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, that was the ET Stand, the Sharks Fans podcast, live on a Tuesday night as the Sharks travel to play the Parramatta Eels, Friday, 6 p.m. It's going to be me with Chris Kelly on the debrief straight after full time because... I don't know. We're just going to try that out straight after full time. Hey,
because why not?
Well, also because I'm still stateside, so actually I just don't want to stay up for another half an hour. So I'll just find a way. And I think we are finally going to prove that Franko is right. It should be half an hour after it every single time. But Franko's down the coast, and I want to go to bed, so we're going to be right after full time. Bang on, literally. Game ends. Us. And what's going to happen is it's going to be an absolute mess because we're not going to be as prepped like Stephen is, but we'll make it work. And then we're going to have an opposition fan preview with the guys from the Para Cave podcast, and then we'll be back Tuesday next week. We might put you in the chair for that one, Franko, because I'll be traveling. All right, legends, that was the ET Stand podcast. Go the Sharks. The Sharks are going to beat the Eels. Up Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.